Hello, Golden Puddle here again. This episode is going to be a little bit different, but first I've just got a couple pieces of news I want to discuss briefly. The first one is that there are some pictures from the railway station on Narnia Web right now, and it's showing, you can see that there's a couple references to the war, which wasn't in the book, and it's interesting to see that, and I don't really have a big problem with that. The other one is the big one is the casting of Glenn Storm is one of my favorite side characters in the book. Cornell John will be playing him. I haven't seen this guy in anything else like most people, but I think he looks great for the part. I've always loved Glenn Storm as a character. He only has a few scenes, and so it's important that they get him right. Obviously, Adamson loves Centaur, so I think they're going to do a good job on him. So those are the two pieces of news that have come out. But for this episode, I just wanted to talk about some of the core issues and concerns for Prince Caspian. To me, these movies are kind of like elections. Every time they have them, there's always a few central core issues that everyone's kind of concerned about and everyone's thinking about. And so I just want to go over some of the biggest ones. Most of the crew is back for Prince Caspian. Andrew Adamson's back, Mark Johnson and Douglas Gresham, of course. It's most of the same crew, which is great for continuity. Different cinematographer. Might have a different look to it. Be interesting to see. The cast. I want to talk about the casting right now. Let's start with the big ones. Mosley, Popplewell, Keynes, Henley, Neeson. Great. They're all back. And obviously the big choice and the big thing that caused all the biggest discussion is Ben Barnes as the role of Caspian the 10th. And Caspian is 13 in the book. And this guy is 25. There was a lot of discussion even after Wardrobe came out about how old should they cast Caspian, because no one really wants to recast, I think, even though he's only 3 years older in Dawn Treader. No one wants to recast. And so they were thinking, should we cast him old to begin with or young to begin with? I like the fact that characters in Narnia are young, and in line with the Wardrobe you had 13, 14-year-old kids being kings and queens and doing amazing things. To me, that's one of the things that makes the series unique. So I like them to keep the characters as young as possible. This guy doesn't look 25, but he certainly doesn't look 13. We'll see what they do when he's in hair and makeup. I don't see how they can make him look terribly young. But, movie magic, we'll see what they can do. And he definitely doesn't look how I imagine Caspian, but he does look kind of similar to a Pauline Baines illustration of Caspian, actually, which I'm a big fan of those illustrations, so that's cool. And, I thought nearly all the casting choices in Wardrobe were just about spot on. And so I'm going to be optimistic about Caspian because they've earned their optimism in this area. See, that's how I work. So even though he doesn't look like the perfect choice, I'm going to say I think he'll probably do a good job because I trust Adamson's judgment on this one. He earned it with Wardrobe. And Vincent Grass is Dr. Cornelius. Once again, I haven't seen him in anything, but he looks great for the role based on the description and the illustration. Peter Dinklage is Trumpkin. I have seen Dinklage in Nip Tuck. He has a very strange role, which won't be discussed on this blog. So it's going to be really weird for me to see him as Trumpkin. And one of the most predictable casting announcements in history, Warwick Davis as Knickerbrick. I mean, who didn't see this coming? People joked about this, like, oh, they got to get Warwick Davis. Anytime you need a short guy, you call Warwick Davis. He played an Ewok in Return of the Jedi. And I don't. Maybe he'll be good. It's definitely not how I imagine Knickerbrick, but maybe he'll be good. But it's like, come on, Warwick Davis, please, sort of thing. But once again, I'm trying to be optimistic about casting because everyone was so great in Wardrobe. Alicia Borachiro is Queen Punaprismia. She doesn't have red hair. Not the most important character. I'm not that worried about it. One of my favorite ones, Sergio Castellito, is Miraz. As far as looks, I love him. I think he looks great. Pier Francisco Favino is Lord Glazell. And Lord Caspian is Damien Alcazar. Interesting that one is young and the other one's old. I'm curious to see how that works. There's a couple new characters that I'm a little bit concerned about. I'll have to see how that goes down. But I gotta hurry up here. This can't be longer than 10 minutes. Prince Caspian has new visual effects houses. This was definitely a cause of a lot of concern among fans when it came out. And this is one of the rare situations where I was the one saying there's no problem here, this will be fine. Everyone else was kind of concerned. That doesn't usually happen. But I think they have the most important with good visual effects is a director, and I think Adamson understands visual effects. We know that, and the visual effects in the first film were great. It's just the same guy using different tools. So I'm not worried about continuity. It's got the same director. Rhythm and Hughes and Frameson have one thing in common. They want to please Adamson's vision. Give him something he likes. And so I'm not really worried about continuity. Another thing about Prince Caspian is the rating. There's no doubt in my mind that Prince Caspian will get a PG rating. There's too much money to be lost by making it PG-13. And I like it that it's PG. But the fact that there's a lot of humans in the second battle of Baruna is a cause for concern. The MPAA isn't going to like that. There weren't a lot of humans in the first battle, and that's one of the reasons they got away with it. It was creatures, not people being killed. And so we'll have to see how they manage a PG rating and at what cost. And obviously the biggest issue in Prince Caspian, as far as the story, is the issue of the timeline, the chronology that events occur. In the book, they're whisked off Caraparavel from the railway station. They meet Trumpkin. He tells them a story that goes on for 4 chapters about Caspian. And I love it in the book because it's fun to finally make the connection at the end about how they connect their story with Susan's horn and how they got there and everything. I love that. And it's harder to mess around with time in movies without confusing the audience. And I know that people like Christopher Nolan have done it, but generally there's a problem here. And you can't just start it chronologically because that means 15, 20, who knows how long, the first part of your movie without the Pevensies in it. And you don't want that. Maybe, a couple minutes is alright, but you don't want to go 15, 20 minutes without seeing your 4 main characters. And I've talked with a lot of Narnia webbers about this, and I have my own, way how I think would be the best way to do it. There doesn't seem to be any perfect way of doing this. Anything we come up with, there's always, a big downside to it. And so I'll see how they do it. There's a rumor that Trumpkin gets captured when they first find Caspian, and they actually blow the horn then. I wouldn't like that at all. That would totally mess up with the scene where they make the connection between their story and the horn. I wouldn't like that. So I hope they don't do that. There's the thing about, I already talked about Caspian's age. I want to talk about his character. There's a rumor that he's going to be kind of egotistical. And at the end of Prince Caspian, Aslan, when he knights Caspian, he says, "Do you feel yourself sufficient to take up the kingship of Narnia?" Caspian says no, and Aslan says, "Oh, well, there you go. Then you are sufficient," basically. And what they're doing in the movie is they're giving Caspian a journey where he becomes humble, instead of having him just be like that all the time. And I don't have a big problem with that because they're still drawing on something from the book. They're not making up, all that. They're just giving him a journey to where he gets to where he is in the book. So I don't have a huge problem with that as long as they don't take it too far. I think it's it could be an interesting story. One of the scenes I'm most worried about is where some of them can see Aslan and others can't. How do you show on screen that some people can see him and some people can't? I've gone over that scene a bunch of times in my mind, but I can't think of a great way of doing it visually. And so I'm concerned about that. It's one of my favorite scenes. They can't cut it, period. But we'll see how they handle it. That'll be difficult. Bacchus and Silenus, will they be in the film? I mean, Father Christmas was, so I think that they probably will. The second battle of Baruna, at the book it shows the battle, then it goes back in time and tells you what happened to the bridge. I don't think they'll do that in the movie. How are they going to handle that? We'll see. And I saved the best for last. Everyone is wondering, we can talk all day about the timeline and Caspian's age and its hair color and blah, blah, blah. In the end, everyone wants to know about Reepicheep. What is going on with Reepicheep? There's been no voice cast for him yet. We're wondering, is he going to have a bigger role in the film? They gave Tumnus a bigger role because he was just so memorable and iconic. I don't know if I totally agreed with the decision, but about some of that extra scene. But they did do it. Mark Johnson's idea. And so I think they might give Reepicheep a bigger role, since he's such a fan favorite and everybody loves him. And especially in light of what happens to him in Voyage of the Dawn Treader. And it'll be, just like with Aslan, maybe not quite as big, but a lot of pressure on the visual effects team to really deliver on Reepicheep. He's such a fan favorite, and everyone is looking forward to him. Overall, I feel alright about Prince Caspian. I don't think it'll be as good as Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It has a lot of big adaptation challenges I don't know if they'll be able to overcome, but we'll see. In the end, I'm obviously still looking forward to it, and those are just some of the central issues that I'm most concerned about. And how much time is left here? Let's see. My countdown clock is coming up. 385 days to go. We'll have all these questions answered. So until the next blog.